chapter 6. And on the new moon of the 3rd month he went forth from the ark and built an altar on that mountain. And he made atonement for the earth, and took a kid and made atonement by its blood for all the guilt of the earth. For everything that had been on it had been destroyed, save those that were in the ark with Noah. And he placed the fat thereof on the altar, and he took an ox, and a goat, and a sheep, and kids, and salt, and a turtle dove, and the young of a dove, and placed a burnt sacrifice on the altar, and poured thereon an offering mingled with oil, and sprinkled wine, and strewed frankincense over everything, and caused a goodly savour to arise, acceptable before Yahuwah. And Yahuwah smelled the goodly savour, and he cut a covenant with him, that there should not be any more a flood to destroy the earth, that all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest, should never cease, cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night should not change their order, nor cease forever. And you increase ye and multiply upon the earth, and become many upon it, and be a blessing upon it. The fear of you and the dread of you I will inspire in everything that is on earth and in the sea. And behold, I have given unto you all beasts, and all winged things, and everything that moves on the earth, and the fish in the waters, and all things for food, as the green herbs. I have given you all things to eat. But flesh, with the life thereof, with the blood, ye shall not eat. For the life of all flesh is in the blood, lest your blood of your lives be required. At the hand of every man, at the hand of every beast will I require the blood of man. Whoso shed man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. And you increase ye and multiply on the earth. And Noah and his sons swore that they would not eat any blood that was in any flesh, and he cut a covenant before Yahuwah Elohim forever throughout all the generations of the earth in this month. On this account he spoke to you that you should cut a covenant with the children of Yisrael in this month upon the mountain with an oath, and that you should sprinkle blood upon them because of all the words of the covenant which Yahuwah cut with them forever. And this testimony is written concerning you, that you should observe it continually, so that you should not eat on any day any blood of beasts or birds or cattle during all the days of the earth. And the man who eats the blood of beast or of cattle or of birds during all the days of the earth, he and his seed shall be rooted out of the land. And do you command the children of Yisrael to eat no blood, so that their names and their seed may be before Yahuwah Eloheinu continually. And for this Torah there is no limit of days, for it is forever. They shall observe it throughout their generations, so that they may continue supplicating on your behalf with blood before the altar. Every day and at the time of morning and evening they shall seek forgiveness on your behalf perpetually before Yahuwah, that they may guard it and not be rooted out. And he gave to Noah and his sons a sign that there should not again be a flood on the earth. He set his bow in the cloud for a sign of the eternal covenant, that there should not again be a flood on the earth to destroy it all the days of the earth. For this reason it is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets that they should celebrate the feast of Shavuot on this month once a year, to renew the covenant every year. And this whole feast was celebrated in heaven from the day of creation till the days of Noah, 26 jubilees and 5 weeks of years. And Noah and his sons observed it for 7 jubilees and 1 week of years, till the day of Noah's death. And from the day of Noah's death his sons did away with it until the days of Abraham, and they ate blood. But Abraham observed it, and Yitzchak and Yaakov and his children observed it up to your days. And in your days the children of Yisrael forgot it until ye celebrated it anew on this mountain. And do you command the children of Yisrael to observe this feast in all their generations for a commandment unto them? 1 day in the year, in this month, they shall celebrate the feast. For it is the feast of Shavuot, and the feast of first fruit of the wheat harvest. This feast is twofold and of a double nature, according to what is written and engraven concerning it. Celebrate it. For I have written in the Sefer of the first Torah, in that which I have written for you, that you should celebrate it in its season 1 day in the year. And I explained to you its sacrifices, that the children of Yisrael should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generations in this month, 1 day in every year. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the 4th month, and on the new moon of the 7th month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a testimony forever. And Noah ordained them for himself as feasts for the generations forever, so that they have become thereby a memorial unto him. And on the new moon of the 1st month he was bidden to make for himself an ark. And on that day the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth. And on the new moon of the 4th month, the months of the depths of the abyss beneath were closed. And on the new moon of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the waters began to descend into them. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. And on this account he ordained them for himself as feasts for a memorial forever, and thus are they ordained. And they placed them on the heavenly tablets. Each had 13 weeks. From one to another passed their memorial, from the first to the second, and from the second to the third, and from the third to the fourth. And all the days of the commandment will be 52 weeks of days, and these will make the entire year complete. Thus it is engraven and ordained on the heavenly tablets. And there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year or from year to year. And command you the children of Yisrael that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts. For everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandments, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances. And all the children of Yasrael will forget and will not find the part of the years, and will forget the new moons and seasons and Shabbathots, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years. For I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto you, and it is not of my own devising. For the cipher lies written before me, and on the heavenly tablet the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, and walk according to the feast of the other nations, after their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons, and come in from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order, and make an abominable day the day of testimony, and an unclean day a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean days with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Shabbathots and feasts and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to you, that you may testify to them. For after your death your children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and seasons and Shabbathots and feast, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. And so there you have it, Jubilees chapter 6. Jubilees chapter 7. Now in Jubilees chapter 7, we found the account whereby Noah planting a vineyard and offering a sacrifice, Noah becoming drunk, and he exposes his privates, expose himself. You will find also the cursing of Canaan, the blessing of Shem and Japheth. You'll find the keeping of the law regarding fruit trees, and Noah admonishing his sons to avoid eating blood and to not murder. Okay, and so here commences the reading of chapter 7. And in the 7th week, in the 1st year thereof, in this Jubilee, Noah planted vines on the mountain on which the ark had rested, named Lubar, one of the Ararat mountains, and they produced fruit in the 4th year. And he did guard their fruit, and gathered it in this year in the 7th month. And he made wine therefrom, and put it into a vessel, and kept it until the 5th year, until the 1st day on the new moon of the 1st month. And he celebrated with joy the day of this feast. And he made a burnt sacrifice unto Yahweh, 1 young ox and 1 ram, and 7 sheep, each a year old, and a kid of the goat, that he might make atonement thereby for himself and his sons. And he prepared the kid first, and placed some of its blood on the flesh that was on the altar which he had made, and all the fat he laid on the altar where he made the burnt sacrifice, and the ox and the ram and the sheep, And he laid all their flesh upon the altar. And he placed all their offerings mingled with oil upon it, and afterwards he sprinkled wine on the fire, which he had previously made on the altar. And he placed incense on the altar, and caused a sweet savour to ascend, acceptable before Yahuwah Eloheinu. And he rejoiced and drank of this wine, he and his children, with joy. And it was evening, and he went into his tent, and being drunken, he lay down and slept, and was uncovered in his tent as he slept. And Cam saw Noah his father naked, and went forth and told his two brothers without. And Shem took his garment, and arose, he and Japhet, and they placed the garment on their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered the shame of their father, and their faces were backward. And Noah awoke from his sleep, and knew all that his younger son had done unto him. And he cursed his son, and said, Cursed be Canaan, as an enslaved servant shall he be unto his brethren. And he blessed Shem, and said, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Elohim shall enlarge Japhet, and Elohim shall dwell in the dwelling of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Cam knew that his father had cursed his younger son, and he was displeased that he had cursed his son. And he parted from his father, excuse me, he and his sons with him, Cush and Mitzrayim and Put and Canaan. And he built for himself a city, and called its name after the name of his woman, Nahela Tamauk. And Japhet saw it, and became envious of his brother. And he too built for himself a city, and he called its name after the name of his woman, Adattaneses. And Shem dwelt with his father Noah, and he built a city close to his father on the mountain, and he too called its name after the name of his woman, Sidequetelevav. And behold, these three cities are near Mount Lubar, Sediquetelevav, fronting the mountain on its east, and Nahetamahuk on the south, Adattaneses towards the west. And these are the sons of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad. This son was born 2 years after the flood, and Ludai and Aram. The sons of Japhet, Gimer and Magog, and Madai and Yavan, Tubal and Meshech, and Tirach. These are the sons of Noah. And in the 28th Jubilee, Noah began to enjoin upon his sons, the ordinances and commandments and all the judgments that he knew. And he exhorted his sons to observe righteousness, and to cover the shame of their flesh, and to bless their Creator, and honor father and mother, and love their neighbors, and guard their souls from fornication and uncleanness and all iniquity. For owing to these three things came the flood upon the earth, namely, owing to the fornication wherein the watchers against the Torah of their ordinances went a whoring after the daughters of men, and took themselves women of all which they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanness. And they begot sons, the Nephilims, and they were all unlike, and they devoured one another. And the giants slew the Nephils, and the Nephils slew the Elio, and Elio mankind, and one man another. And everyone sold himself to work iniquity and to shed much blood, and the earth was filled with iniquity. And after this they sinned against the beast and birds and all that moves and walks on the earth, and much blood was shed on the earth, and every imagination and desire of men imagined vanity and evil continually. And Yahweh destroyed everything from off the face of the earth, because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood which they had shed in the midst of the earth. He destroyed everything. And we were left, I and you, my sons, and everything that entered with us into the ark. And behold, I see your works before me, that ye do not walk in righteousness. For in the path of destruction ye have begun to walk, and ye are parting one from another, and are envious one of another. And so it comes that ye are not in harmony, my sons, each with his brother. For I see, and behold, the devils have begun their seduction against you and against your children. And now I fear on your behalf that after my death you will shed the blood of men upon the earth, and that ye too will be destroyed from the face of the earth. For whoso sheds man's blood, and whoso eats the blood of any flesh, shall all be destroyed from the earth. And there shall not be left any man that eats blood, or that sheds the blood of man on the earth, nor shall there be left to him any seed or descendants living under heaven. For into Sheol shall they go, and into the place of condemnation shall they descend, and into the darkness of the deep shall they all be removed by a violent death. There shall be no blood seen upon you of all the blood. There shall be all the days in which ye have killed any beast or cattle or whatsoever flies upon the earth. And work ye a good work to your souls by covering that which has been shed on the face of the earth. And ye shall not be like him who eats with blood, but guard yourselves that none may eat blood before you. Cover the blood, for thus have I been commanded to testify to you and your children, together with all flesh. And suffer not the soul to be eaten with the flesh, that your blood, which is your life, may not be required at the hand of any flesh that sheds it on the earth. For the earth will not be clean from the blood which has been shed upon it. For only through the blood of him that shed it will the earth be purified throughout all its generations. And now, my children, hearken, work judgment and righteousness, that ye may be planted in righteousness over the face of the whole earth, and your glory lifted up before my Elohim, who saved me from the waters of the flood. And behold, ye will go and build for yourselves cities, and plant in them all the plants that are upon the earth, and moreover all fruit-bearing trees. For 3 years the fruit of everything that is eaten will not be gathered, and in the 4th year its fruit will be accounted holy, and they will offer the fruits acceptable before El Elyon, who created heaven and earth and all things. Let them offer in abundance the first of the wine and the oil as first fruits on the altar of Yahweh, who receives it. And what is left, let the servants of the house of Yahweh eat before the altar, which receives it. And in the 5th year make ye the release, so that ye release it in the righteousness and the uprightness, and ye shall be righteous, and all that you plant shall prosper. For thus did Chanok, the father of your father, command Methuselah his son, and Methuselah his son Lamech. And Lamech commanded me all the things which his father commanded him. And I also will give you commandment, my sons, as Chanok commanded his son in the first Jubilees, while still living, the seventh in his generation. He commanded and testified to his son and to his son's sons until the day of his death. Here ends the reading of chapter 7.